This is a video podcast from the WSU Vancouver Library. Today's episode, Getting Started with Research, Volume 2. In the first Getting Started with Research video podcast, we looked at research as a process and talked about planning our searches strategically. Today, we're going to see what this looks like in a sample academic search. The first stage is initiation, so let's take a look at our assignment instructions to start. Now, you always want to carefully read your instructions and keep them available for future reference. If nothing else, when you do have to go to your instructor with a question about what you need, you're going to look a lot smarter and more with it if you can refer to the instructions that they gave in the first place. For this assignment, we can see a few key details that I've highlighted here. One is that our research is going to be looking for evidence of a small or a local event and how it illustrates or gives an example of a larger or global theme. We can also see a few references to scholarly research or detailed scholarly research, and this is good evidence that our instructor is not going to be impressed if we refer to a web page that we found through Google or Wikipedia. We're going to need to go to some more authoritative sources. And there's also down here in the middle a list of several bullet points that our research or our research paper needs to have. I like to keep these or write them down in a list so as I'm working I can make sure that I don't forget anything. So for our example, we're going to look for a local example that illustrates the theme of social change driven by technology. That's a theme that looks interesting, seems to relate to what's happening in the world today, so we should be able to find some things to write about. Our research will need to uncover some examples that show how technology has driven social change in a local setting. So let's start looking for things in the Bronze Age, since the class lectures and the readings about that part of the course seem interesting. So now that we know that we're looking for Bronze Age technologies that drove social change, we have a chance to do some background exploration on this topic. So to begin our background exploration, let's go to the Getting Started with Research page, and let's choose the Gale Virtual Reference Library, which is a great place to start any project. And I'm going to go to the basic search because I happen to like that one a little bit better in Gale. And we're searching for technology in the Bronze Age, so I'm going to start with a real broad term, Bronze Age. I know we're going to get more specific, but I like to start broad. And this is going to give us a couple of good entries. There's a lot of entries here, but we can see right off the bat that numbers 2 and 3 on the list are introductions to the bronze technology itself, which I think is going to have what we're looking for. So let's look at this first article, and it's going to give us some background information. One of the first things that it's going to do is it's going to tell us that the use of bronze led to pronounced and sustained differences in status, power, and wealth. That sounds like technology leading to social change, so we know we're on the right track. If we go a little deeper into the article, it's going to give us a little more information. For example, it's going to tell us that because bronze has the ability to cast many artifacts from a single mold, manufacturing took the place of an individual craftsperson making the work. Another thing that we see that's going to lead to social change is that because bronze required rare elements, copper and tin or arsenic, that generally weren't found in the same place, bronze manufacturing led to the development of sea trade, which brings in all sorts of social change. So already we have a few different examples. And we're going to carefully read this whole article, but taking these notes that we have, this is going to make searching other sources easier when we get to the next stage. At this point in our research process, we have a clear idea of what it is that we're looking for. And we also have a good idea of some background information and some context surrounding the area where we're looking. So now it's time to start digging into the sources. As we formulate our research process into a more focused question or search, we're going to take what we've already learned and use it to search a database of scholarly sources. So we're going to go back to the Getting Started with Research page. And from here, we're going to go to JSTOR. And in JSTOR, we're going to use what we've learned to search effectively. And last time I showed you a database, I went from an advanced search to a simple search. In JSTOR, I like to do the opposite. What you can take home from that is find a way to search that works for you. And so here, I'm going to take what we learned from our in our background research. We know that we're looking at Bronze Age as our chronological period, and we know one of our broader themes is technology. And we also know that one of the things that we learned was status or wealth were an important outcome of the Bronze Age. We also can look for the change from farming to manufacturing society and the effect of sea trade, but I'm just going to show you this as a first example. So when we take what we learned in the reference source and plug it in here, we find some things that some of which are more useful, some of which are less useful. But if you look down here at number 5, we start to find an article that's going to really address our needs. So let's take a closer look at that. Models of local exchange in late Bronze Age Cyprus. So we know we're in the Bronze Age. Cyprus is a Mediterranean island, so we know that that's a good local context. And they're talking about local exchange here, which is in the local economy, talking about how the Bronze Age changed the way people interacted economically. One of the first things we're going to want to do is read the abstract, this little paragraph here that tells us what the article is about. And in this case, it's talking about some archaeological research that shows how wealth and finance changed in the Bronze Age, which is precisely the sort of thing that we're looking for. So, recapping what we've done so far is we've stopped and taken a strategic look at where we're going with our project. We did some background research to get some information that will help us search in-depth resources with a little more accuracy. And then we've gone and done some sample searches that helped us tighten and formulate our research question. Final step is collecting documents, and now if we were to go back to JSTOR or Academic Search Complete or some other scholarly databases, we would be very well equipped to start searching and finding the precise documents that are going to really help with our research. And that's really how to get started with research. The rest of it is rolling up your sleeves and getting to work. Good luck. This is another WSU Vancouver video podcast.